businesses. Because we know if we do a better job of providing service and attention to the needs that you have, we make it easier, and again, DNR is a good example, we make it easier to comply. I mean, most people I know in this state, particularly small business owners, want the same things we want in government. You want clean air, you want clean land, you want clean water. We've talked about this before. Stephanie Klett knows that, you know, from a tourism standpoint, we got a lot to sell here. We're the only state in the union surrounded by 2 Great Lakes, the greatest river in the country. We're filled with 15,000 inland lakes. That's 5,000 more than Minnesota, and all of ours have fish in them, so that's pretty good, right? We got a pretty compelling argument not only to come and do business here, but to come and visit us. So when tourism is one of our key industries, the last thing we want to do is do things that get in the way and somehow make that water or that air or that land not attractive to people who want to come in and visit our state. So it's not just a good thing to do from a government standpoint, it's innately a part of our culture in terms of our industry and our economic situation in this state. But we know that to get to that clean air, clean land, clean water, we can do it in a way that's either the carrot or the stick. We can either be upfront and be more customer service driven and be almost like a consultant that helps you comply with reasonable standards, or we can beat you over the head after you fail to meet them. The latter's not so good because it not only costs you money, it costs us more money to fund and staff people dealing with compliance than it does dealing in the front end. And so what we've tried to do in this administration and all of our agencies, but the DNR is a great example, is have a different mindset. And not just talk about it at the top, but the DNR is a good example where they've literally gone through and changed their management structure. They've used Lean Six Sigma as a teaching tool for their managers. They're trying to change their customer service model. It's not done yet, so don't walk away thinking, hey, the governor thinks everything's perfect, and the next time you bump into somebody who's not, say, wait a minute, that's contradictory. But do tell us, because we're trying to make those improvements, because again, we want the same things that our businesses want. We think businesses want the same things we want. We just want to make it easier for you to get to that same place. And so on the one end, it's about lowering cost. On the other end, it's about being a better partner. Overall in terms of attitude, but also in terms of some specific areas. You know, one of the things I heard time and time again, not only at small business listening sessions, but as I visited many of your small businesses here, is the fact that I hear, particularly in certain areas, in advanced manufacturing, in information technology, in healthcare providers. In those areas in particular, I hear time and time again, we have jobs, but we just don't have enough people with the skill sets to fill those jobs. Secretary Newsom's here, he knows the job center in Wisconsin, we routinely have 30, 40,000 some jobs, depends on the week and the time, and we're not even an employment agency, that's just a voluntary portal through which we put jobs up there, and yet we have 30, 40 some thousand sometimes jobs that are available today, and more often than not, they're jobs where employers have openings, they just don't have enough people with the skill sets to meet those. Machinists, welders, fabricators, CNC operators, information technology technicians, certified nursing assistants, engineers, others out there. And so while one hand is getting government out of the way to lower cost, one of the other areas where we need to do more, and we will, is being a better partner. Being a better partner, particularly when it comes to providing a more skilled and prepared workforce. That means working K through 12. That means working with our technical colleges. That means working with the University of Wisconsin system. Let me give you a couple quick examples. And I could talk for hours, and I won't on this, but just to give you a little sample. K through 12, just still talking with Superintendent of Public Instruction, Tony Evers. Dr. Evers and I have worked a lot on reading and educator effectiveness and on school and school district accountability. In fact, for all of you who are parents like I've still got my youngest is still a senior at Wauwatosa East High School. So like any of you who are parents, you saw the report cards that came out recently about schools and school districts. That's great, because as a parent, I want to know what's going on in my school. If it's great, I want to be proud about it. If it's not so great, I want to help them improve. But as small business owners, you should want to know as well. It's something that's right on the website. You can go right to DPI's website and see it out there. In fact, one of the things I mentioned when we put this together over the last year with a group of about 40 or 50 stakeholders was saying our hope was that employers in our towns and cities across the state would want to look into where the schools were in their given area, because again, it's an area of what you can draw off of if you've got a high-performing school, and if you've got a school that maybe isn't performing in all areas. If it's an area of expertise you have, it might be your invitation to come on into that school and help them and assist them whether it's in math or reading or science or other technologies. But we wanted greater accountability. We wanted our employers to know what's happening in their backyard. Because again, I can remember talking to a small business in Oshkosh where they showed me the applications they were getting from some schools within the region. And they said, you know, one of the biggest frustrations is we just need people who can do basic fractions to do the kind of work we do, but it changes day in and day out. It's not always the same model that we do for the equipment we provide for our customers. We need people who can do basic fractions. And this employer said to me a few years ago when I was first running for governor, he pointed out, the manager there said, here are all the schools, we blacked out the names of the people so as not to reveal the individuals, but here are all the applications and here's the stack that we have where they're not being able to do basic fractions. That was a problem for them. And so that's one of those areas where we want to help. Having this accountability system helps us hone in and find out where are the areas we have need and how can we not only put pressure on the schools, but can we try and find a connection to help assist in ways all throughout the community to improve those scores. We're also looking at more dual enrollment, understanding that while it's great, I've got a kid in college right now, it's wonderful that we've got young men and young women in the state who want to go on to a college or university here in the state of Wisconsin where they're pursuing a career that requires a 4-year degree, that increasingly the jobs that are open today are jobs that require more than a high school diploma, but less than a 4-year degree. And one of the things we really have to tell our young people, and I would actually ask you personally for your assistance in this, whether you're in manufacturing or not, is to pass on, whether it's your sons or daughters, grandsons or granddaughters, or just people you know from the community, how many opportunities there are, particularly in areas like manufacturing, where there's a need for an education beyond high school, typically in a 2-year program through one of our great technical colleges here in the state of Wisconsin, but where in many cases it's not for lack of funding or seats in those schools, it's for lack of having enough interested young people going into those classes in the first place. Now, I believe, and I've talked to the president about this before, and he shares the same belief, that one of the problems we have with that isn't so much the employer base, it certainly isn't just the students, it's more often than not, it's us as parents. Because many of those same parents are people who 15, 20 years ago were laid off from an employer because jobs went overseas or jobs went away and they don't want their son or daughter to go into a profession where they'd face that again. And yet things have changed. One of the things I'm proud of, and some of you maybe here are involved in these types of businesses, is how many Wisconsin-based companies have brought work back from China and Mexico and India and elsewhere because we've made investments in new technology and new innovations, but we need people who have a skill set beyond just a high school degree to be able to do that. And so it is our charge to encourage more of our young people to go in that career path, knowing that in many cases it's a pretty good deal, it's a pretty good proposition from an economic standpoint, in the sense that many of those jobs are starting out at anywhere from $50,000 to $80,000 per year. You're getting a degree in 2 years instead of 4 or 5, and you're paying a fraction of the student debt that your fellow classmate in high school might be paying at a college or a university. I know because I just wrote out another check the other day for my freshman in college. And again, that does by no means is undermining the great careers that we have needed that require a 4-year college degree. But we have to do more to encourage young people to go not just in manufacturing, but in areas of healthcare and information technology and elsewhere that require those sorts of degrees and certificates. And that's an area where you can help us encourage guidance counselors and parents and others to do the same. But we're committed to doing it. Again, not just the technical colleges. One of the other areas I'm excited to tell you about, some of you may have employees who want to take advantage of this. We just started out this school year. We're going to expand that with the University of Wisconsin Flexible Degree Program. It's really something that kind of brings us into the 21st century. Certainly UW, like other colleges and campuses, have online services. But do you know in this state, about a quarter of all the people who live in Wisconsin have some sort of college credit, but they don't have a college degree? And increasingly, more and more jobs, particularly not just with the economy, but more and more jobs as the baby boomer generation reaches retirement or starts to enter retirement, are going to be open and they're going to require college degrees to get those. And so we got to find a way to accelerate that. Some of that work can be done in the traditional undergraduate mindset, whether it's at UWL or anywhere else across the state. But one of the other things we've just introduced and we're going to expand on, we started out targeting areas of greatest need, is a University of Wisconsin Flexible Degree Program. It allows students to not only take classes online, to opt for classes in the classroom, but ultimately to be able to have a competency-based program where you can use life experience, but you don't just get credit for it. If you were, a bookkeeper for the last 5 years, you don't just get automatic credit for that because you worked 5 years as a bookkeeper for a small business. But if you go in and you take the test and you pass a number of things that apply for an accounting degree, you do get credit for it. It's competency-based. We want it to the University of Wisconsin, so we still want it to be at the high levels, the high standards we expect from a degree from the University of Wisconsin. But we understand that the two biggest deterrents for people who don't have degrees today but who have college credit are time and money. Time and money. If you're working a job, you got 2 kids, you got things to do at home and this and that, dropping out and going on campus when you're in your mid-30s is probably not a doable situation like a traditional undergraduate would do. But if now you can say, hey, you know what, I'm going to test in the areas where I've gotten some competency in the business I started or the employer I'm working for, and then I'm going to figure out what I have missing to get that degree, and I'm going to take some of that online, and then I'm going to test not just for overall classes, but now through this program you can test by module and say, well, for these 5 of the 6 pieces, I've tested into that. All I need to do is take this little piece out there. And oh, by the way, we were talking about this before in terms of some homeschool parents I was talking to in a similar concept. We're allowing you to pick up that training not just at the University of Wisconsin, but MIT and Harvard and others, Stanford, have courses online. Heck, you can go to iTunes these days and take courses out there. We'll let you take those courses, but we'll make you take the test to show you have the competency. If you have the competency for a fraction of the cost of sitting in a college classroom, we'll give you the credit for that degree and we'll allow you to go into that path. That not only helps the individual, in this case, non-traditional learner, it helps all of us who are looking for qualified, skilled workers to fit the jobs that we have open today. That's just a sample, whether it's in high school, whether it's in our technical college or University of Wisconsin system. We need to be a better, more accountable partner. We need to not just pour money at our problems, but target those resources so they're filling the jobs that you and other businesses in the state have open today, and more importantly, will have open tomorrow. So for us, as I mentioned, it's about lowering costs, and it's about being a better partner. A better partner in terms of preparing the workforce, a better partner in terms of making that connection, a better partner even in terms of infrastructure, understanding that for businesses in the state, whether it's in our roads, our highways, our bridges, our freight rail, our airports and ports, that increasingly we live in a global market. And the more ways that we're able to allow you to get product to and from market, whether it's in manufacturing or retail, whether it's in agriculture or otherwise, we need a better partner. We're committed to doing that. We've made investments over the past couple of years. We're going to do even more in the future. And so there's a lot of exciting things going out there. That's just a taste of the things we'd like to do in the future. The last thing I would just end with is 2 quick things. One, to give you a sample of where we've come already. 2 years ago when I was running for governor, or I should say when I was running for governor the first time, right? I kid my fellow governors, Democrat and Republican alike, they asked me what it's like. I said, well, it's kind of neat. I'm the only governor ever in American history to be elected twice in the same term. So it's kind of an interesting nuance. But when I was running in 2010, the statewide Chamber of Commerce did a survey. They surveyed employers big and small across the state, and they asked them, do you think the state's heading in the right direction? You know how many said, yes, Wisconsin's heading in the right direction? 10%. 10% of our employers in 2010 thought we were